Hi, this is Manya Marcus. It's March 12th, 2026, and I'm reporting from Israel, where we're still in the midst of the second war with the Iranian regime. The chapter you're about to hear, called We Shall Do, and We Shall Hear, and We Shall Hope, features three voices. First, Rabbi Wolfson from Tel Aviv reflects on how his community rushed to volunteer in the early days of the war, and how that impulse, what he calls the drug of volunteering, has been complicated by the realities of sheltering close to home and living under constant strain. Next, you'll hear from Binyamin, a man I met sitting outside a mall in Rehovot, listening on his phone to psalms being recited in the Yemenite style. And finally, Sara Dahan reflects on her hopes for the Iranian people and for Israel's future. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi, Manya. How are you? Got your message from Friday. Now it's Sunday night, and I'm taking a walk. So I'll share some thoughts. You asked, I think, about the community. Let's start with the community. Baruch Hashem, Zachinu. We have an amazing community who are young and mobile and creative and are able to turn on a dime to do things and mobilize. We try to build a community which is outward facing, that sees the work that it does for others not as something peripheral, but actually as a core part of its DNA. So this is our muscle, and we've got a big muscle for doing this. There are different stages of a period like this. There's what they call everything, everywhere, all at once in the initial emergency stage, and that's what this moment is, in the same way in which after October 7th was, or maybe stages of COVID were. And then when crisis recedes somewhat, you're able to get into sort of more planned, longer term, more thought out type of work. So what does that mean in Tel Aviv? Well, there's an impact site around Rothschild, Yehuda Halevi, and we have people there helping, take items out of the wreckage and comfort and support people who have lost things, and helping them with forms and bureaucracy and the like. We have a number of people in our community who work in Air Force intelligence for their miluim, for their reserve duty, and they are deep within the Kiryah. And we make sure to take fresh fruit and vegetables to the 60 members of their units, or whatever it is, to look out for them and look after them. We had a new immigrant who did not know yet, who messaged me on, I think, Sunday or Monday of last week, and that she had lost her apartment and doesn't really know anybody here, and people are able to mobilize very quickly for her and make sure she gets a new apartment with a mamad, a safe room, and there's a meal chain set up for her and people to take her out for coffee and work out what she needs, and gifts for her, and Purim comes and she gets lots of mishloach manot, etc. So there's that sort of hectic action. Of course, Purim was happening anyway, and as part of our work, we build a big Purim gifts project. It's really what I put most of my work into. We do it in conjunction with a large homeless shelter in Tel Aviv, and with Shoah survivors throughout the city, and also with hostage families across the country. And prior to the war beginning, in the week before Purim, we had purchased thousands of items which were going to be part of these care packages. And when the war started, we made a big flex and effort to make sure that the project would still continue. That was a really big effort. So even though gatherings beyond a certain number were not permitted, and lots of people left the city and were no longer able to deliver packages and the like, we made a special flex for it, and that was deeply meaningful to watch that unfolding. That in the midst of a crisis like this, that someone, whether they've been through the Shoah or the tunnels of Gaza, or they're just having a really tough time, can nevertheless still get a knock on the door and a special package. Nevertheless, this is really hard and stressful in Tel Aviv, and despite certain reports, it's not getting easier. We had sirens on Friday night at 7 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 1:45 in the morning, 2:45 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning. We live on the 4th floor. The nearest miklat safe room is 4 floors down and 2 buildings away. It was really a nightmare. Today, shrapnel from a cluster warhead rocket hit right by our kids' gun and right by a friend's house. And the kids aren't in school and are out of their frameworks. And you feel like you're going crazy and you're exhausted and you're on edge, and the tension exacerbates pre-existing challenges that individuals and couples have with one another, and you can just feel that you're going crazy, quite aside from the actual safety element. Just the whole routine of life that it becomes is massively challenging, really, really hard. So, I think this bombardment is more severe than anything we've had until now in terms of keeping one pinned down. As someone who loves to organize, there's actually less that we can do now than in previous parts of the war. There aren't evacuees in Tel Aviv in dozens of hotels to care for. There's not a massive standing army call up to go and make barbecues for. So there isn't that kind of drug of volunteering, despite what I described a few minutes ago. Just sort of pinned down in place. All of the Purim parallels that people were talking about last week, the simplest parallel I thought of is that despite Mordechai and Esther's great action, the Jews of Shushan are actually relatively passive in the story. What you get described more than anything is their emotions. V'ha'ir Shushan nevocha, the city is confounded. V'ha'ir Shushan tzahala v'somecha, the city is rejoicing and happy. And, it feels that we're kind of in that situation. Those are some reflections for now.
Okay, can I explain what's going on?
Yeah.
To the mic? Okay. So I'm sitting here outside the mall where my friend Oz works, and I hear Tehillim, I hear Psalms happening, but it doesn't sound like a regular trope. How do you say regular trope?
זה נשמע כמו סגנון מיוחד, לא סגנון דתי רגיל, לפחות מה...
Like it's not Ashkenazi, it's not what I know. It's not Sephardi, it's Yemenite. And so I heard it, and I wanted to talk to this person, this gentleman,
וזה עניין אותה, והיא רצה לדבר איתך על השירים האלו, על הפיוטים האלו שאתה שומע.
and ask him questions.
Tehillim, King David.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do it in Hebrew. So why are you listening to Psalms right now?
למה אתה מאזין לזה עכשיו?
למה מה?
למה אתה מאזין לזה עכשיו? זה מה שאתה עושה כל הזמן שאתה יושב לחכות.
הנעימה שלו יפה, נעימה יפה. כמו מוזיקה, כמו שאתה שומע מוזיקה.
He likes the music, he likes the sound of it.
Is he religious?
אתה דתי?
No.
But he loves Torah. He told me he loves Torah.
אני אוהב את התורה, אני אוהב את התורה.
Okay, so I want to clarify when he was born and where he was born.
אם אפשר לשאול, מתי נולדת ואיפה?
אני נולדתי ברחובות ב-1950.
אתה רחובותי יסלי?
כן.
Okay, so he's originally from Rehovot. He was born in 1951.
And his parents were born in Yemen, both of them?
וההורים שלך תימנים?
כן. עדן.
Aden. Both Yemenis from Aden.
Does that mean something to you, Adam?
It's a city. It's a major city in Yemen.
It's a major city in Yemen.
זה העיר רק הכי גדולה של תימן.
וואלה. זה לא...
צנעא.
צנעא, כן.
צנעא זה עיר בירה.
So Sana I've heard of.
עדן זה עיר נמל.
Okay. Okay, so Aden is a port city. Sana'a is the capital city. But Aden, because it's on the port, it's bigger than Sana'a.
Interesting. Okay, so first of all, can you tell me about how his family got to Israel? And second of all, can you tell me how he feels about this war right now?
אם תוכל לספר קצת על העלייה של ההורים שלך לארץ, איך זה היה, מה היה?
אני לא יודע למה זה ב-1935.
made עלייה in 1935.
Before there was a state. Okay.
אני לא יודע אם הם באו ברגל או באונייה.
He doesn't know if they came by foot, because that's an option, or by boat.
Why doesn't he know? He never talked to them about it?
לא. לא דיברתי.
You have... יש לך אחים גדולים, משהו...
כן.
הם אולי כאילו...
יכול להיות, לא שאלתי אותו.
הם עשו אולי את המסע יחד עם ההורים.
לא, כולם נולדים פה.
כולם, okay, so all of his siblings were born here. Both of his parents came here without kids, and have all of his siblings.
You and I are doing this project together, and can you explain to him that a lot of the project that we're doing is about understanding legacy and memory? So it's interesting that he didn't have this conversation with his family.
בפרויקט שלנו, מה שאנחנו מנסים לצייר, בעצם לתרגם כלפי חוץ, זה את הסיפורים של אנשים מתוך ישראל. את הסיפורים של...
יש לי סיפור יותר גדול מכל ישראל, אבל אני לא יודע להעביר אותו.
שזה אני פה.
יש לי סיפור שאני יכול להוכיח שאדוני קיים, בהוכחה, שאין את זה באף מקום בעולם וגם לא בישראל. אין, יש השערות, יש אמונה, יש כל מיני...
He has a story that's larger than every legacy that we have as individuals and as society, that he can prove that Elohim is existing, like
God exists.
God exists and is real. איך אתה חבר?
תראה, אלוהים, אדוני נקרא לו. הוא נותן לך, עכשיו אתה מדבר, הוא נותן לך את הדיבור. עכשיו אני צריך להוכיח את זה, נכון? כל השמות של כדור הארץ, וגם שמות של בני אדם אפילו, בלי שהבן אדם יודע מזה בכלל. אדוני נותן אותם. אדוני שולט על המחשבה, אתה חושב כאילו זה אתה חושב. לא, אתה לא חושב. הוא שם לך את המחשבה, ואתה בוחר.
So, God basically is the puppeteer of everything, and we think that we think for ourselves, but we actually do not. It's God.
Yeah.
כן.
במילים אחרות אין לאדם מחשבה. אדוני שם לו את המחשבה, האדם בוחר אם לבצע אותה או לא.
אוקיי, זה הרשות נתונה כזה. זה הכל ידוע והרשות נתונה. זה בעצם.
לא חשוב, אבל הם לא יכולים להוכיח את זה, הם אומרים שהם מאמינים בזה. אני מוכיח לך את זה עכשיו. עוד שנייה אני אוכיח לך.
Okay, so he basically says that man is able to choose whether he wants to act upon the will of God, but that's his only choice. He doesn't actually thinks for himself. It's something dictated from above.
עכשיו תראה. כל דבר שאדוני שם בארץ נותן לו שם, אז הוא נותן לו, או שהוא נותן לו ברכה, או שהוא לא נותן לו ברכה.
Everything that God puts on this earth and gives a name, he can choose whether he blesses it or not.
I want to ask something. Where does he see God in this war? Does he see God in this?
איפה אתה רואה את אלוהים במלחמה הזאת?
הוא עושה את המלחמה. הוא עושה את המלחמה. על ידי המלחמה הוא הורג את זה.
Like the things that we see now happening before us is the actions of God.
Because you were saying to me, like, what's happening now is good. Is that what you think? That what's happening is...
מה שקורה עכשיו זה טוב.
איך?
אתה אמרת שמה שקורה עכשיו זה טוב.
זה לא טוב, אבל אני לא מתווכח איתו.
It's not good, but he doesn't argue with the one in charge.
Okay, will you tell him thank you for sitting with me and say that this has been really interesting?
I feel incredibly safe. This is a really lucky Mamad situation. It's not really possible the way that my building is oriented to get a direct hit from the Mamad. So I'm really, really lucky. I'm very aware of my luck, so I am worried for a lot of other people. But I really wanted this war to start. I really want to help the Iranians. So I definitely don't feel scared. I more feel hopeful right now, and I feel hopeful for what this could mean for the future of Israel and our safety. So right now, my number one concern is actually the Iranians. And then number two is thinking about all of the Israelis who have a less safe shelter situation. And then I'm thinking about the future of Israel.